question, next question, next question. I'm Caleb Fogarty, and welcome to another NBL 1 East edition of Next Question. On today's show, we're featuring an NBL 1 East champion and three-time NBL 1 East All-Star 5 member for the Canberra Gunners. Known for his versatility and high basketball IQ, he's been a cornerstone of the Gunners' success in recent seasons. A fierce competitor on both ends of the floor, he brings leadership, toughness, and a knack for making winning plays. With deep ties to the Canberra basketball community, he continues to elevate the team's presence in the league. Please welcome to the show, the Beacon, Glenn Morison.
Thanks for having me, mate.
No worries, mate. We're in the off-season. Did you step away from basketball these last couple of months?
I had a good break, went overseas, travelled a bit, played with my Lego, but yeah, back in the pre-season now, ready to go.
Where'd you hit up overseas?
It's around Japan.
Oh, mate, every man and his dog's going over there. Apparently you're part of the crew.
Yeah, they call it the thinking man's Bali.
Right, mate. Well, as you said, training is back. What does a pre-season under Coach Pete Herrick look like?
Usually, start about early January because we've got our local Canberra Classic pre-season tournament over the Australia Day long weekend. So we get in nice and early, get that done, and then we just ride it out till pre-season games starting probably Marchish. A few camps in there, and we'll be ready to go, I reckon.
How's the boys looking? Any standouts so far early in the preseason? Anyone came back going like, oh, he didn't go for a jog this year while we were off?
Oh, I won't name names. You can always tell what people don't. But the boys are keen. Losing that grand final hurt, and got to come back and win it again this year.
We love that, mate. And to bring it back, we'll talk about the grand final in a bit. I won't go there straight away. We're going to go a bit further back, though. A lot is always made out of the Canberra Gunners, the chemistry, and the names on the roster that have played together for so long. Namely, James Toohey, Will Mayfield, and yourself, and also Pete Herrick was your coach all through juniors. What's your earliest memory playing with those two?
Will, I've been playing with Will since Will 10. Playing for the 80s under 12s basketball team, he's always been the same. He's always been that guy with it's just tough. And James, on the other hand, he's changed. When I first played with him, was playing under 16s, and he was a high flyer. He was the guy that was dunking everything. He was flying through the court, and now he just shoots and plays D. But yeah, it's been fun playing with him.
I actually have a mutual friend that is from Canberra, and what he would always talk about with James Toohey in particular is just his work ethic. He just said his work ethic is unmatched. Is that pretty much what you've seen?
Yeah, 100%. James, throughout the entire off-season, running player-led shooting sessions every morning, 6:15, coaching the under-20s team. He's just a junkie. He just loves to get better.
I'm actually interested to hear. So I was doing some research before our chat, and I did come across a conversation you had with the NBL 1 guys. They were talking about your CBL days where the team in juniors, I think 2016, 2017, you guys went 3-21. I think the other one was there was a winless season in there, which is just insane to think about considering what success the Canberra Gunners team has had throughout the first couple of years of the NBL 1 East. How did those years shape the Gunners into today's powerhouse?
Well, for one, you see seasons like that and realise you don't want to have them anymore, I wasn't there for the whole winless season. I went to college halfway through. But, you don't hear good stuff about a season like that. Well, it was good for me at the time because I was a young player who got to step up into C-ball and develop. The vibes aren't as high as they could be. So we realised then that the Gunners needed to be a local team, culture-forward team, and that's what we've strived for ever since.
Do you have the bit of the chat on the winless season that you left halfway through? You're like, boys, if I stuck around, we might have got a couple more on the board.
Look, I wish I could say that, but they had a couple of big, Ben Allen, Eric Gaff, a couple of big five-man veterans in the league, and that they were playing over me. And hey, they're good. They're hells of players. They couldn't get the win that year.
Mate, you don't see that often. Some players being a bit bigger than you. Oh my god!
It was a big year. There was a lot of big boys on that team.
The other thing I wanted to chat to you about, mate, so Canberra's defense is consistently top tier. You were first the league last year. I think you've been top 3 pretty much every NBL 1 East season. People talk about chemistry more on the offensive side of the ball when it's players that have been around together. They always say that they share the same brain with the ball. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the defensive side. What does the connection that this team has through the years, how has that translated to such defensive success?
I think more than anything, it's a trust situation. From my point of view, I trust James Tui to guard any perimeter player in Australia. He's going to do it. Like I said, he's a junkie. He's a hard worker. He's going to do everything he can. Mayfield, he's going to get his steals. He led the league in steals by a decent margin last year. We have that trust that we know our roles and we're going to do it in the best of our abilities. And all the other guys that on the team know that they play their roles. And hey, trust beats scout, and it's worked so far for us.
I got to ask as well, mate. The Beacon, famously put by Davy J. Is that just a Davy J thing, or does that name come from somewhere else?
I think that's a Davy J special. I actually don't know the roots, but I'm pretty sure it's a Davy J special.
It's probably one of his best, I got to say. It's quite fitting.
He's had some good ones. He can't speak the best yet. It's just the one that's caught on.
Is there any favourites of yours?
Classic.
Do you have any favourites?
Oh yeah, James Tui, the Minister of Defence. Will Mayfield, the courier, always delivers.
We love that, mate. So you've been a consistent 18 points, 10 rebounds, 1.5 blocks this last 3 years. What's the key to the consistency?
Probably like the team trusts me to make the plays. Pete puts me in a position to succeed, and just staying at it. Working over the off season, working during the preseason. Knowing my role and just knowing how I like to play. I play basketball the way I want to play basketball. You could fall in love with being the showy perimeter player, but I know that's not me. I like posting up. I love high low post, maybe the occasional spot up midi, spot up three. So just trusting how I play, trusting the work, and see what happens.
When I did a bit of research leading into last year's grand final, I thought it was quite interesting to find that when you guys were at your best, you were averaging 18 points. The ball was flinging around. You were third in the league in 3-point percentage. When you didn't lose much, but when you did lose, it did come at the expense of you were averaging, I think, 12 points a game in losses. Do you feel the weight in that you have to produce for the team to have that success?
No, I definitely don't feel the weight. The one thing that I really value about the Gunners is we're a deep team. It may be that when I didn't produce that we didn't win as many. Hey, that happens sometimes, but no, I have 100% confidence in my boys that if I have a bad game, they're going to pick up the slack.
What have you learned about leadership these last 3 years? You guys have had such big success. You've had some big losses in some instances as well. You've had the highs, you've had the lows. What has this taught you about leadership?
Well, leadership from my point, I learnt from other people. Guys that have been through the Gunners program and left. Guys like Pietro Badalassi, Reece Kay, my brother came before us. Learning from those guys, learning how they lead teams, learning how they lead a culture, has all fed into what we are now.
Yeah, you hear things, especially like even just with the Boomers, how it's just progressed. One person, like the Matt Nilsons of the world, then passed it on to the Joe Ingles and Paddy Mills, and then now so forth to the Dyson Daniels and Josh Giddies. It really seems with the Canberra culture, it's kind of been in a similar vein.
Yeah, definitely. You can have those teams where you get different players each year, and yeah, they have the individual talent, but they don't have anything that backs it, that goes behind it. That's one thing I feel like we've done well is we've got the individual talent, but we've also got the culture behind it, and that's from guys that have played before us.
Now, I do have to ask about the Maitland rivalry. It was the trilogy, the grand final. Christian Little said before the game that they wanted Canberra. They wanted you guys. Was that feeling reciprocated heading into the game?
Look, you always want to play the best team, and Maitland displayed throughout the year that they were the best team. We might have snuck the better record, but deep down, it was 1A, 1B. That we were both at the top. So yeah, in that vein, wouldn't have felt right if we didn't play Maitland. But at the end of the day, we can't always control that. We're going to play whoever was in front of us.
Now, when it came to the loss, one thing from the broadcast, where I was standing on the broadcast, that stood out to me was actually where the Canberra Gunners and you guys were standing. You were very much like the Devin Booker. You see a bunch of NBA players after they lose that grand final, they just take it and watch. And I could just see you just staring straight over over at Maitland, taking it all in. What was going through your mind right there? Does that loss in the grand final, is that something you wipe from your mind, or is it something that you use to help propel you this season?
Yeah, I remember standing there thinking, God, this sucks. They called me up for an interview. I'm like, God, this sucks even more. Nothing about that was enjoyable. But hey, Maitland beat us fair and square. You know, can't fault him for that. But yeah, we'll just straight away we were thinking, how are we going to do this next year? How are we going to bring this team back? How are we going to add depth pieces to propel us over the top so we can get back on that top step? You know, we've been there before. We want to get there again. How
important is it to have Coach Pete Herrick in your corner for those moments?
Yeah, no, it's definitely important. You know, I always say, like, Pete's been our coach for, at least for me, James and Will, for many years. You know, we understand each other. We don't always agree. We don't always agree on how best to approach it, but we have the trust that, you know, we're going to go out hard. So having Pete there, it's always good. You know, we've got understanding that next year we're going back at it hard.
Now, not all the teams are finalised. Well, a lot of the teams aren't finalised, I should say, but they are kind of dribbling in. One matchup I am going to circle on my calendar is Canberra versus Albury. Canberra, you guys have got one of the biggest players in the league. Albury, they are just humongous. They've got Morel, they've got Matty Gray coming, bunch of other people. Are you excited for those kinds of matchups where it's just a lot of big bodies ready to go battle in the paint?
Definitely. I love playing against big guys. You know, Maitland last year, he had a centre depth of 3 just to throw at me in the grand final. It gets tiring, but it's the most fun you can have. But playing against Albury is always a great time. I love going down to the Lauren Jackson Stadium, and the crowd there just gets after you, and it's a great atmosphere. So yeah, I can't wait for the first round against them.
As I said, you have a lot of individual accolades. The only thing you don't really have is an MVP. Are there any individual goals for Glenn Morison this year?
Honestly, I'm not fussed with that. With individual accolades, you know, they're nice. They see him coming. I'm like, yeah, sick. You know, someone recognises the performance I've had. And, you know, it feels good, but it's not why I play. I play to win. I play to have fun with my friends. I play to bang around out there, win some championships. So that's the goal for the year.
And then what can we expect from the Canberra Gunners in 2025?
Well, hopefully a championship, man. It's what we play for. You know, it's what we want. With 3 straight years losing hurts. So we've got to get back at it.
Glenn Morison, thanks so much, mate. See you next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, mate.